welcome back to Shatter Our Souls with Novaria. So, I'm pretty sure you know where we are. Welcome to Old Haven. Old Haven, much like New Haven, is a more permanent settlement, but is also full of side quests and extras that we can complete to make sure that we are as strong as possible going into our next area, the Trash Coast. Unfortunately, we are also dealing with possibly the most deadly group of enemies out there, the Lance. Now, I went through each of the Lance varieties last time, but for those that decided that this is your starting point, welcome, welcome. But the Lance enemy types fall into four categories: the Lance Soldiers, the Lance Engineers, the Lance Defenders, and the Lance Medics. Each subcategory of the Lance has something that they bring to the table that makes them completely unique. But it also makes them incredibly difficult to tackle in a one-on-one fight, typically speaking. The engineers are capable of dropping turrets that function much the same as Roland's turret. The infantry are a standard battle force, or more like a standard fighting force. The defenders are a group within the Lance that wield heavy shields that are unaffected by about 50% of all weapon types. 50 to 60%, only really showing weakness against acid and explosive damage. As acid can penetrate the shield itself, and explosives tend to just deal damage to it through the shield as a whole. And the last being the medics. The medics basically have a drops similar to some of their alternative friends, the engineers, except unlike the engineers, also have other damage types that they use that or unlike the engineers, they also have healing capabilities, which gives them a little bit of an edge in a battle of attrition. Sorry, it's been a while since I've actually gotten this far, so I'm kind of a little out of my element right now. But out of my element or not, we're making good progress, making good time. Okay. Glad I've got plenty of ammunition stored in New Haven, or Old Haven, sorry. We're just going to call it Haven for now, because I always get new and old mixed up. Oh, enemies dropped a, whatchamacallit, a, healing, what is it? A transfusion grenade, that's it. I find it interesting how the Lance would do basically anything to achieve their ends. They hired a bunch of bandits to keep the roads closed so that the Lance could do what they do best. and go searching for the vault. But also, as soon as the bandits rebelled, instead of paying the bandits, they decided to end the problem at its source. Effectively, the lance is the source of everything going on Pandora right now. Dahl had virtually nothing to do with it, which I find kind of interesting because up until New Haven, Dahl was the big bad. And of course, you got Hyperion thrown into the mix and all the other mega corporations. But it's nice to know that things were not intended that way right from the get go. That it was meddling coming from other sources that got this world to be as screwed up as it is. Just gonna hold off for a second, let my shield regen as I'm standing in the middle of nowhere, but not in line of sight from that Gatling turret. Come on. Got it. Really? Oh my goodness. Great sight lines. Terrible shot. Perfect. You've taken down most of this area. I'm running out of ammunition in my revolvers, though, so that's going to be priority number one for a little bit. Is regenning. Oh, I got ammo back. Well, that was a waste of a runaway. Okay, let's see what we can do here. We've got one more bandit key to find. The defender itself is going to give some grief, but he'll be fine. The engineer is the tough one. Oh, we have a badass engineer with a shock shield, or a shock resistant shield. Ironically, shock resistant shields are probably some of the strongest, because given that they're shock resistant, there's nothing really holding them to the same standards that the other shields have. And that's a good thing. Because, in all honesty, the shock resistance gives it a huge bonus. Okay, there we go. Engineer and a defender. The Lance also, because of their raw strength and comparatively to other enemy types, and the fact that every single one of them is equipped with a relatively powerful shield, they are a tough group to tackle overall. Tougher than your average enemy, I'd say. Comparatively to any other group in the original Borderlands, the Crimson Lance is by far the strongest. I'm just excited because we are here. We're actually beating them, getting pretty good experience out of this. And if I have my way, I will be done recording this probably within the next couple of days or over the next week and a half. Because I know what I'm like and I'm going to get sidetracked by something. Which is perfectly fine. All good. Just a statement to make. Okay. Not sure where I'm getting shot from, but, oh, there we go. We've got the engineer. I'm not sure where my enemies are, but that's fine. I would rather not know and still be able to tackle opponents than know but be dead. I've been up this road long enough. I know where it leads. Excuse me, where the heck are you? There you are. You know, you're not a very nice engineer. Can I interest you in power engineering? It's much nicer. And you get to work with dams and floods and stuff. Okay. Think we can close this guy up now. Awesome. Which leaves just the junkyard. Oh, what? That's all of them? Huh. Okay. Anyways, um, we are heading back to New Haven. I'll see you in the near future. We're back in New Haven. We're just gonna pass all this back to Helena Pierce. And we are going to finish the bandit treasure 3 corpses now. Because, truth be told, I was expecting that to be worse. Anywho, meet you over in Old Haven. Right? Yeah, Old Haven. Welcome back to Old Haven. So, as was stated, we got to find the strong box, which is hidden away behind this gate. I completely forgot that it existed, but X marks the spot. We got a new treasure stash to find. A new upgrade to get. And because we're back after our first visit to Old Haven, we also have a claptrap to find. Now, the nice thing is that because this is our second trip in, our enemies are going to be a little lighter than last time, because any that were defeated last time we were in here aren't going to respawn. Thankfully. It still does not make this... I hate this claptrap. Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna head back to, I guess the Trash Coast, maybe? Might as well. We got a couple more missions to complete. Or at least unlock the Trash Coast so that we can get all of our side missions for the area. I'll meet you over there. The sucky thing about late game Borderlands is that theoretically, there's nothing that can stop you once you reach high levels, because everything becomes somewhat trivial just by virtue of the power that you have attained throughout the game. And while I'm pretty sure that is exactly what the devs were going for, it makes early game areas very irrelevant fairly early into the game. As stated early on, um, once by the time we beat the second or third boss, it really kind of got fairly simplistic. Enemies took less damage, enemies were easier to beat. The gains from fighting them were so much less that it was actually worthless at times to fight certain enemies. Hmm. But here we are. We have one last major challenge to overcome, supposedly. Technically, we've got like three, but one last challenge to overcome before we unlock the Salt Flats. By unlocking these Salt Flats, we will effectively gain access to the end of game. But I'm not so worried about end of game just yet, because we have some heavy hitters we need to get through in the meantime, such as badass spider ant corruptors, spider ant queens, kings, and all sorts of in-betweens. I got myself a little too deep into this too quickly. Ha! Perfect. Almost level 33. I'm pretty sure there's more going on here, but oh well. Got him. Our next major opponent is ironically, I find the easiest of the main bosses, the Rack Hive. Now, I honestly do not know what species the Rack Hive is. What I do know about the Rack Hive is that it is massive, has a lot of defense at its disposal, like a lot of defense. And we have Kamikaze Rack, which which do a reasonable amount of damage for every hit they land, and there's a lot of them. Thus, for the majority of this battle, I am more or less going to be using the defenders and kamikazes as my primary source of healing. Because, well, I kind of don't have much of a choice in the matter. Anywho, the rack hive is going down very, very quickly. Actually, by typical standards. I don't necessarily have the right kind of damage to take this beastie down. It's not really allergic to shock. And the defender rack really don't do much by comparison. Like, they're an endless supply. So they could theoretically keep coming and coming and coming and coming and be used indefinitely to gain experience. But that's kind of six of one, half dozen of the other. It only deals with half of the problem. Ouch. Thank goodness. We are making progress. Slowly, but surely. Not sure who Shirley is, but there we are. Interesting that Bloodwing can't do damage to the Rack Hive, which would mean that in theory it would be impossible for a bulletless or a bulletless challenge as Mordecai, technically. Oy vey. Okay, 200,000 experience. We have taken out the hive. And we are ready to take down any available side missions that may come our way. Wow, I didn't realize how many bullets I could actually hold. Apparently it's been a while since I've had full ammunition. The Rock and Show here got to run away. Not that I'm concerned with that. And we're dealing with level 5s and 13s. Like, it's very small group of enemies. Why there's a treasure chest with a ancient weapon sitting within it and a crap ton of cash, I will never know. But there we are. Anyways, with that being said, we're in the end game now. So if you like what you see or are curious where we're heading next, drop a like, leave a subscribe, and we'll meet you next time. And until then, have a good day.